Call the meeting back to order. Kind of an interesting thought, but in closed session, the board did take action. In closed session, a motion was made by Trustee Stefan, seconded by Trustee O'Neill, to authorize President Kinnaman to enter into an employment agreement to appoint Gary Plunkett as the Director of Kinesiology and Athletics. The motion carried with 5 members voting in favor and no members voting opposed. That is, the motion carried 5-0. Before I lose it, since that seems to be my agenda today. We are going to do the introduction of full-time staff at 1:30. Is that correct, Stan?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So we're moving to the proclamation. Let me see, I'm trying to get my salmon copy and my canary copy coordinated here. The next item is we're moving to read the proclamation for Black History Month. Thank you. We'll actually vote on this proclamation later, but it's very nice to have these early in the meeting while we're fresh and we can appreciate before our brains melt down.
Good morning,
Yeah.
everyone.
Thank you, Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Sorry, I had to grab
You're
it off
fine.
my email.
Pull it out of mine.
Thank you.
Pull it out of mine. Oh, okay, Anna did. Oh, thanks, Anna.
Proclamation of Black History Month. Whereas in 1921, Carter G. Woodson, father of Black history, established the Association of the Study of Afro-American Life History in Washington, D.C., which began the practice of observing the history of African Americans in the month of February. And whereas the month was selected because George Washington and Abraham Lincoln were born in February, as well as Frederick Douglass, a great abolitionist and orator. And whereas the entire Coachella Valley, the history and culture of African Americans are being recounted and celebrated by all people who understand the significance of one's history to one's humanity. Now, therefore, let it be resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Desert Community College District, at its board meeting of January 17, 2014, acknowledges the contributions of African Americans and proclaims February 2014 as Black History Month. Be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees encourages observance of Black History Month throughout the entire Community College District.
Thank you so much, Eleanor.
Thank you.
So, as I said, we will vote on that as it comes in the appropriate place in the agenda. Public comments. Persons who wish to speak to the board on any item should complete the request to address the board form and present it to the secretary. Persons who wish to speak to the board on any item may do so at this time. There is a time limit of 3 minutes per person and 15 minutes per topic, unless further time is granted by the board. Have any such requests come? Okay. There being no such request, and I see no one rushing to fill in any paperwork, I'll move on to approving the minutes of the regular meeting of December the 13th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about those minutes?
Yes, I have a discussion
I could see
on the
that.
minutes. Under my report, what Leanne, on your previous email, attended, I want to make sure that we put down attended the DHS Holiday Parade, our Desert Hot Springs representing the College of the Desert. Under reports,
Any other?
yes, there's one
Oh,
more. I
okay.
have several that I mentioned. Most importantly, want to mention the International Student Day. I think it was very critical that be put, that,
I'll double check the
yeah.
date, then I'll double check my minutes here.
Perfect.
So if you can add those two items,
If they're on the tape, I'll certainly add them.
okay, because I emailed you the list of events, and so I always don't see them.
I understand, but I
Okay.
believe we had this discussion at the
Right.
last meeting. If it's not said at the meeting,
They
I
c-
can't
Be in the minutes.
put it in the minutes.
But they can be
Attach.
But I did-
attached to the meeting.
Okay, but
to
I
the minutes, so.
said it, so I,
Okay.
okay, thank you
That's
so
fine.
much.
So the-
Really appreciate your hard work,
Wait.
Leanne.
When we do miss something, if it's in the report, it can be attached, so we still do have that record. Okay, if there are no further corrections to the minutes, they stand approved as corrected. And we move into reports. And Eleanor, would you step forward again and give us your report from ASCOD?
Hello again.
Morning again.
Okay. The ASCOD Student Senate held a winter get-together for both ASCOD and ICC. The event was well attended. We had a surprise guest, board member Ms. Sanchez, peeked in to say hello and thank you for spending time with ICC and ASCOD. ASCOD attended the SSCCC Region 9 meeting on December 20th in Mount San Jacinto and also on January 10th held in Barstow. ASCOD pulled together with accompanying our SSCCC delegate with her traveling. I'm proud to announce that College of the Desert now holds a seat as an official official SSCCC Region 9 Senate as secretary for the Region 9 regular and executive meetings. ASCOD will be having a mini retreat on January 22nd and the 23rd to work on our team as a whole so that we can become a stronger Senate. We will be having guest speakers from the SSCCC, which is Student Senate for California Community Colleges. It truly is an amazing feeling to have student leaders from neighboring colleges come together and reach out to fellow community college student leaders. ASCOD is continuing to prepare and organize a student stress-free day to take place this spring 2014. ASCOD is also looking into the possibility of hosting a talent show. Last year's talent show was well organized and well attended, and we'd like to host another talent show this year and allow our students to showcase their talent here for their school. ASCOD took position to support an administrative decision to print and charge a $2 fee for spring 2014 class schedules for those students who are interested and would like to purchase a printed copy. ASCOD and ICC, our Interclub Council, participated in this year's Spring 2014 new student orientations, which was such a rewarding experience to welcome incoming students and participate and lead tours of our beautiful campus and to share information regarding ASCOD and ICC. ASCOD has allocated funds to sponsor a Spring 2014 Club Rush so that clubs on campus can recruit new student members and create a positive student life on campus. Along with hosting Club Rush for spring, ICC has been very busy. They will be hosting a mixer, which is open to all students. ICC will be having a leadership retreat for their club members, for their club representatives. I am pleased to report that ASCOD has chartered 28 clubs here at College of the Desert, which are all active on campus, creating a student life and experience for all students while remaining involved in the community. And that concludes my report.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Faculty Association, I don't see Denise.
She's there.
Is she? There she is. Had tall people sitting in front, Denise.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New
Wishing
Year.
you and your families a very healthy and successful 2014. So some updates. The Faculty Association, through its CTA affiliation, has the standard, is concluding an open enrollment campaign for members to obtain additional life insurance from what the college offers, and disability coverage, which of course we don't have. This is a very important opportunity, and faculty are grateful for the option. The campaign will conclude at the end of the month, so it'll give people a little bit more time to get those forms filled out. As far as dual enrollment is currently the association is waiting for the response from HR on demand to bargain. So we've had some back and forth, and we're waiting now for the administration response. It's their turn, so to say. Health and welfare issue, this is something we're also waiting for the administration to respond to. Maria Hasso, the vice president of the association, and I did have a brief meeting in December with the president, at which point he expressed his concern about the CISC dependent audit, which appears to have some potential discriminatory language to a particular group on campus. And the administration is aware of this, and we are waiting for a response. So we hope that that will be timely. Of course, CISC has the right to do a dependent audit, but of course, we have concerns that it not be discriminatory towards any group. And I believe the president is working on this one, so we're just waiting to hear an announcement on that. In today's board packet, you will find the sunshine items for bargaining as per the protocol for these things. It includes the first reading of the association's bargaining openers, and it does include salary and health and welfare benefits, which I'm sure you also noted the same from other associations that way. The president reported to us in that same meeting that the administration is looking at a retirement incentive package for this year. And we look forward to discussing that. We of course, will provide any data and background information that we can. I think the last time that a retirement package was offered was about 5 or 6 years ago. More than that, Michael? Okay. It was a good one. And so we all will cooperate together there to see what can be done. The Faculty Association will offer a flex activity called Getting to Know Your Contract, and we also are inviting Carlene Gibson to come in and also give us some good guidance on working with students and how we can all be aware of the rights and responsibilities involved there. It's been a very busy semester, and this next one will be busy with bargaining, as is the usual spring semester protocol, and also we're grateful to say faculty hiring committees. We, of course, are quite thrilled with the number of new faculty hires. It's a very important step in strengthening all of our programs. We all know that we're understaffed, and it's critical. We must also remember that we have several degree programs with no full-time faculty, and we have signature programs with only one full-time faculty. As we grow and expand to different campus sites, we have to carefully consider the impact of full-time faculty to our programs. On a personal note, I was very deeply saddened personally by the passing of my colleague Cheryl Imes, as we all were. I clearly remember how thrilled we were when she moved into full-time status after many years as adjunct faculty. Many of us advocated for quite a long time that we have a full-time school psychologist. We have great need for this at College of the Desert. We actually have great need for more than one full-time psychologist. We appreciate the president's invitation and the foundation, thank you so much, sponsorship of the upcoming faculty and staff dinner. It's been a while. We like it when we can have these gatherings. We used to have one, before the holidays, but this will be fun to do this, and I'm going to encourage everyone to come. These are the kinds of events that help us stay connected and build a spirit of community. So I hope to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Kathy Levitt is here. Perhaps she wishes to speak for the College of the Desert Adjunct Association, or is she just here to answer questions? Nope, she's here to speak to us.
I'm just here to introduce Jules, who's going to be David's alternate to this meeting in subsequent.
Terrific. Thank you, Kathy.
Good morning, all.
Good morning.
My name is Julius Varga, and I'm with Automotive Technology, and I am making this presentation on behalf of David Bayshore. CODA is looking forward to an exciting and successful spring semester beginning with flex activities next week. As in the past, we will be conducting 2 workshops for adjuncts, as well as recognizing adjunct services to the college at a reception on Thursday evening. I want to take this time to personally invite all of you to this reception. It's next Thursday, the 23rd. It's going to start at 5 p.m., go to about 7 p.m., and it's going to be at the Marks Art Center. So if your schedule permits, I would like to extend that invitation to all of you. There was a written report sent to the board, and you will see it's an article that's too long for me to read at this time. But I want to call your attention to an urgent matter and have you have the opportunity to read it, and if you haven't already done so. It was written by a former college president, a Robert Fuller, who outlines the many ways that academia has discriminated against adjuncts. He points out with pride that many ways that colleges have prohibited discrimination based on one's race, gender, age, disability, and sexual orientation, but then recognizes what everybody knows, that adjuncts are still the victims of discrimination and exploitation. He calls on colleges and universities to end this exploitation with the same commitment and determination they brought to the issues of civil rights and women's rights. Nothing in this article should be new to anyone in this room, as CODA has been raising these same issues repeatedly for many years. Perhaps hearing the message from a different voice will motivate the College of the Desert and take the action that is so desperately needed to remedy this situation. If you do not have a copy of this report, a copy can be sent to you. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
College of the Desert Foundation is represented by Donna Jean Darby today. Thank you, Donna Jean.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
The foundation, as you all, have been very busy since the middle of January planning upcoming events for the season, and there are many. We continue to see real value on the campus to bring people in to see the changes. And we encourage you to invite your friends and associates. And our Peter Sturgeon is superb at this particular program, as you know. We're planning to host 4 campus events in the next month. We have 28 community-minded leaders from Kappa Kappa Gamma, 24 women from Rancho Mirage Women's Club. We have a select group of community leaders coming in on January 30th. And then on February 13th, the college's own Lance O'Donnell is heading the sold-out Modernism Tour. And this is exciting because it brings Palm Springs and the rest of the community to our campus. Additionally, the foundation is organizing and hosting the President's Circle cocktail reception on February 9th at the Marks Gallery, and will be exhibiting the internationally renowned time and photojournalist Don Craven's photography, and soon to be announced, the renowned COD students. Dr. Lisa Soso is working hard to put this exhibit together. The exhibit will be open to the general public from January 27th to February 27th. Then coming on the very successful last year's scholarship donor and scholarship reception, the foundation will once again be hosting an event on February 10th at the Craven Student Center. Trustee Wilson is well aware of the impact of this particular reception. On February 11th, 70 members of the Desert Estate Planners Council will be putting on their hats and boots for a hoedown, and we've got the winning barbecue pitmaster Tom Emery cooking up some grub for them and hoping that they will then encourage their clients in estate planning to consider the College of the Desert. Finally, don't forget stepping out for COD, Bernadette Peters on February 19th at the McCallum. Tickets are still available, and we are looking forward to seeing you. Thank you on behalf of the foundation.
Thank you so much, Donna Jean. College of the Desert alumni, Jean Marshall.
Madam Chair, Board of Trustees, President Kinnaman, administrative staff, and most welcome guests, good morning.
Good morning.
The street fair had a good customer turnout during the holidays considering the long hours the big box stores were open. Competition is very keen. We will have a giant 3-day street fair during President's Day weekend. We will be open Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, February 15th through 17th. During November and December, Toys for Tots collection boxes were placed out at the street fair. Also, the street fair is a collection point for the Philippine Typhoon Disaster Relief Fund. Collection of these funds continue through January. Manny De La Rosa, KMIR's Manny the Movie Guy, came out and shot a news clip at the Alumni Center. As it turns out, one of our merchants' town where she grew up in the Philippines was wiped out by this typhoon. Manny came out a second time during the street fair on December 21st with his news crew to further drum up support for donations. Both news clips were shown at the 5, 6, and 11 o'clock news programs on NBC KMIR 6. The Alumni Pathway Student Scholarship Club had a field trip to the Palm Springs aerial tram. The COD students went hiking, played in the snow, and had lunch at Peaks Restaurant. The Alumni Association is proud that it could help sponsor the nurses' pinning ceremony and the Public Safety Academy graduation program. The Alumni Association sponsored 3 MESA students for $3,750 to participate in the NASA grant for winter ships during the winter break. The East Valley Alumni Committee approved 2 grants to the Coachella Valley Boys and Girls Clubs. One grant was for $500 to support their educational reading program, and the other grant was for $250 to support their Christmas party. Next month, the Alumni Association will donate another $45,000 to the Campus Work-Study program. This will bring our total up to $90,000 this calendar year towards the alumni's $135,000 pledge to help students work on campus. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Thank you.
California School Employees Association, Laura.
And Jean, please don't run away. We have something for you. CSEA Chapter 407 Holiday Celebration. Our holiday celebration was a huge success. Thank you to Jesus Madrid, who organized, and all the volunteers. Thank you also to Dr. Kinnaman for attending and for assisting with our raffle. Thank you. And thank you to Trustee Mary Jane Sanchez for also taking time in your busy schedule to come and visit with us. New hire in the leadership group. Since my last board report was before the board had announced the appointment, I would like to officially welcome and to offer congratulations to Anna Davies as our new, and it's the long title, Executive Vice President of Student Success and Student Learning.
She has a fold-out card.
Fortunately, there's only one executive vice president, so maybe we'll go with that. She has already graciously met with me during her first week on the job. We discussed issues related to classified staff and began to develop a cooperative relationship that will help us as classified staff support her vision for the areas under her purview. Thank you. I had the privilege to be a part of the interview process that resulted in her selection and continue to be impressed by her qualifications, her leadership style, and her vision. As the saying goes, she has certainly hit the ground running. Then next, negotiations update. The district approached us a few months back with interest in discussing the district's need to support the vice presidents, including our new executive vice president, with confidential support staff. After discussions regarding the definition of this according to the California Education Code, we have met on multiple occasions. Our last negotiation before the holiday break was a marathon, one lasting practically all day. I would like to thank Dr. Kinnaman, Stan Dupre, and Lisa Howell as well as our CSA negotiations team, which was composed of Kelly Blair and Mary Lisi, our labor relations representative Beth Caskey, and myself, for their efforts in reaching the agreements that are before you today. One of the agreements is also the culmination of work to address issues regarding the contracting out of CSA work. They are also here today, Kelly Blair and Mary Lisi, because Mary Lisi, who has been previous to me the chapter president and most recently was the first vice president, has been duly elected as our chief union steward. So congratulations. And I tried desperately to keep her closer, but she's very helping employees who are in need of that particular area is very dear to her heart, and she does it well, much better than I could possibly do. So, and then Kelly Blair is our new first vice president. So congratulations to both, and thank you. And then the reason why I had asked Jean to please stay behind is the alumni do a great deal of work to support the classified staff in so many ways, and I had this little humble presentation. We took their Thanksgiving invitation to the pumpkin and pie social, and we collected signatures from all the classified staff who were ever so thankful for all their support. So, Jean, if you could. So thank you to you for your leadership, and please pass on our thanks to the board as well. We very much appreciate you.
Well, thank you on behalf of the Board of Directors of the Alumni Association and the Alumni Association. I would like to thank you deeply from our hearts for this. It means a lot. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
And so, again, and I also would like to thank, continue to thank Stan Dupre for all the work that he does. We are constantly working on issues before they become great issues. We have continued to work on staffing for EBC, and we're still in process with that. Hopefully everything will be in place for that to start. Very thankful for him. Have been working also with Lisa Howell on that as well to make sure that from the classified support staff side that we have the campus security that is needed, custodial and maintenance support in place for a very exciting new opening. I'm sure Trustee Brockton is very excited about that. There's always last minute things to do, but we're certainly going to do our best to do what we do best, which is support the students and the college. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura.
Academic Senate, Douglas Redmond. Morning, Douglas.
Good morning. Morning, Douglas.
Wow, as I sit back and listen to the presenters, I think to myself, I've been elected to the Pro Bowl. the all-star team. I mean, who in front of me or behind me couldn't be named as a Pro Bowl select?
right.
You know, we've got a great team here. So I'm humbled. Happy New Year. As I stepped onto campus last week after some time off and some vacation, I was energized. Weren't many students here, but still it was exciting, and I can't wait for the students to arrive. And I think that echoes the sentiment of many of the faculty and staff here at the college. On behalf of the faculty of the College of the Desert, I'd like to thank the Board of Trustees for their approval of the hiring of the following full-time faculty positions in fire technology, visual arts, political science, nursing counselor, kinesiology, English, and my favorite, auto technology. I've heard outstanding reports from the recently revised student orientation. I'd like to commend Zarel Becker and all who participated in this. It was quite an effort. Zarel herded the cats, and it was quite an accomplishment. Quite a team that was put together there, too. Thank you to Dr. Socio and her team, and so many involved in this, but we have a very robust flex schedule planned for next week, and on Friday the semester begins. I'm looking forward to the dinner on Wednesday, the night of flex. Thank you to the board, Dr. Kinnaman, the foundation, and not just for the food, but for the opportunity to build community. We're looking forward to a great semester.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Before I move into the governing board reports, I would like to mention that at the end of this meeting, we intend to adjourn in honor of Dr. Cheryl Imes and Dr. Donald Harrison. We are trying to remember and to show our appreciation to these people's families that have given so much of their time, so much of their lives to this college, and it's a very small thing. And I want to mention it now because sometimes by the time we get to the end of the meeting, the crowd's thinned out, and those of you that are watching this on your big TV screen have moved on to a different program. So I would just like to mention that we are going to honor that memory of Dr. Donald Harrison and Dr. Cheryl Imes as we close this meeting, and we'll be speaking to these people as we give reports. So I thank you for that. First governing board report today from Trustee Sanchez Fulton.
First of all, Happy New Year. And I want to welcome all our students that will be coming for this semester and all of those returning students that will be coming. I attended the orientation day and got to kind of give remarks to some students, and I just want to personally thank Dr. Becker for putting on such a wonderful event. Carlos putting those students coming out, but most of all, the students were so jazzed up. I got to see firsthand how they give the tour, and also a lot of our faculty and staff that spent time to speak with our new students. There were a lot of questions, and just it was great to participate. I think we should just kind of expand it. I got a lot of feedback from a lot of students saying they really enjoyed this orientation and just wanted an extra day for it. Just thought it was a great opportunity. Also want to mention that January's been a very busy month. Attended the ASCOD winter meeting, as our president of ASCOD mentioned. I also participated on January 3rd along with Jose Simo at College Night at OLPH. I thought that was very great to see all our Coachella Valley communities, our secondary schools there as well. Gave my bi-monthly College of the Desert update at the Desert Hot Springs City Council on January 7th. Also addressed on January 7th the Desert Hot Springs Women's Club and gave a College of the Desert update. And also want to mention that I participated in the Health Matters initiative last week, and it's going on this week. I think our College of the Desert does an awesome job, our staff and our faculty on mental health issues, and a lot of our students face anxiety, depression, and our families I will be forwarding you some websites that students could attend if they need any needs or resources. I think our college does an awesome job, and President Kinman, just let's continue that great work on how we help a lot of our students. Also want to mentioning we're having our first financial aid workshop January 22nd at the Boys and Girls Club in Desert Hot Springs. We're partnering with them and putting that on in Spanish and English, January 22nd from 4 to 6. And I want to thank Dr. Ken Lira and the financial aid staff for coming out there and helping us put that on in our community. Want to let everyone know as well, the deadline for financial aid workshops are March 2nd. Let's get those FAFSAs in. There's going to be also on February 5th a Coachella-wide financial aid workshops throughout the Coachella Valley. So students are going to be doing high schools, all the different high schools in the Coachella Valley will be presenting an all-day financial aid workshops. I want to comment on the Ascot Stress-Free Day. I think that's something our board, or I don't know if other board members would like to be part of, but I think our students go through a lot of stress, and it's the transitions that they go to when attending college. So I'd like to participate more and see more for our students addressing, kind of start a task force on dealing with stress on campus. And what else? On January 29th, we're going to be having our first citizen educational task force in Desert Hot Springs regarding our learning campus. So we are developing a lot of community leaders out in our city, and so I'm very excited to mention that, and all are welcome January 29th from 6 to 8 at the Boys and Girls Club. So I think that's it. Thank you so much, and looking forward to Flex Day and attending all the events there. And I want to thank Dr. Lisa Socia for putting on such a tremendous schedule for our faculty and staff. I remember when I was a adjunct faculty staff member, those flex schedules are so great because that's the time where faculty members and adjunct come to the campus and have an opportunity to build communities here on campus. So thank you very much, and I look forward in attending that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Stefan?
Right. Again, let me wish everyone a Happy New Year. After our last board meeting the following week, I had the opportunity to attend the nurses' pinning with my fellow board members. And that's one of those events where I get really excited because I see students that I've seen over and over again. Maybe they've had to wait 2 or 3 years to get into the nursing program, and now they're finally graduating. And it's always great to see a student run up to me afterward and say, "You're coming next time too, aren't you?" That's when I graduate. So I'm really excited every time I go to one of those. Also that evening I came back to the campus and I attended the Broadway voice recital. It always amazes me when I attend these recitals that they do from the arts department, the voice and the instruments, the symphonic bands, the jazz bands, how professional these students really are. It just amazes me. And any of these students that performed, they mention at the very beginning how some of these students, it's the first time they've ever performed in front of a live audience. Wow. They are very, very professional. I could have sworn that those kids had been on Broadway because they are really great. Then the 17th, the next evening, the Indio Police Department had a community meeting at my school. They've been having them all over Indio. They have a special grant that is to educate the community to reduce crime. And it's a great program, and you can go online, look up the Indio Police Department, and you can find out where the community meetings are. It's an educational program, and they're trying to involve all the schools and all the various areas of the community with this grant. They've conducted research, and they're trying to make sure that everyone knows what they can do to reduce crime. And one of the things that I found most interesting, it's probably this way in every city, is you know how you have those lights out in front of your house that are supposed to go on when it gets dark? Mine never does. You know, and I count the number of days, and I wonder, you know, who's paying for that? Well, I found out the city pays for it whether it goes on or not. And so you're supposed to call the city and tell them if it doesn't go on. That's a safety feature. And the cities, because there's no way for the electrical companies to prorate how many times it goes on or doesn't go on. When it doesn't go on, you need to call the city. So I started doing that, and now I have light in front of my house every night when I get home when it's dark. It's interesting. January 8th, I attended the agenda meeting with President Kinnaman and the staff, and we went over the agenda for today's meeting. And on the 13th, I also attended the Indio 2x2 meeting. And I'm looking for great things, and I know we'll hear more about that coming up. And I'm looking forward to the Flex Days this next week and the start of the spring semester. And next week on Friday, I'll be leaving with 2 other trustees and the president to attend the Community College League of California Effective Trustee Workshop to be retrained. Oh, heavens, I'm so bad. Okay, and that's the end of my report today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Wilson?
Happy New Year, everybody. Well, I joined my colleagues on attending the RN pinning ceremony on the 16th. And I also attended the alumni-sponsored holiday event that was held here in this room, where I was here with staff, and we had donuts and hot chocolate, and I got to spend a lot of time with Lauro and talking with him. So I really enjoyed that. I am on the board of the Friends of the COD Library, so I attended that meeting. And that was on January the 8th, and then that weekend, we, the Friends, worked at the book fair that was held at Barnes & Noble, where a portion of whatever you buy at Barnes & Noble goes to the COD Friends of the Library. And then again, we turn around and use that money to offset costs for our author luncheon. So I worked that on Sunday and really enjoyed it. I had on my COD t-shirt, so I was everybody. So, and January 13th, I attended the Humana Challenge Executive Women's Day Luncheon. It was a great meeting, a wonderful motivational speaker, and thank you so much to the COD Foundation for inviting me, to Donna Jean, and really enjoyed it. Also, the COD Friends of the Library will be holding an author luncheon in February, and I see Peter out in the audience, and just want to thank the foundation again for sponsoring the students and the supervisor that will be assisting the COD Friends of the Library with that event. So thank you so much for sponsoring them.
Who's speaking?
It's the author, and doggone it if I don't remember his name offhand, but I'll pass the information on to you. And then January 14th, I have been assigned to the Bond Oversight Committee, so I attended my first meeting that was held on January 14th. And it was a very good meeting, very impressed with the knowledge and the dedication of the members that serve on that committee, and also with the staff that did the presentation. Steve, very good job. So yeah, we'll really enjoy that. There's a lot to learn, but it is a very good group. And then finally, just working with the County Board of Supervisors in our art department, Lisa Socia. We have an opportunity to display student art at the County Administrative Center in Riverside on a rotating basis with other colleges. And so I connected up with Lisa pretty quickly, and we've been working on that. So hopefully we'll make that happen. I think it's a great opportunity. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurora. Student Trustee Campbell?
Good morning, everyone.
just like the other students, I had my own winter break myself. I had the chance to spend more time with my family, so that's what I did this winter break. I also attended the nursing pinning with the other fellow trustees here. I also been in my office for the last couple days, waiting for students to come by, which there has been some students that came by, but not, concerning student issues, more about concerning like, can you help me with registering for school? So I helped them out with that, and really it's been a really quiet month for me. I'm just getting ready to go at it again for our classes this semester. So that concludes my report. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee O'Neill, you think that I forgot you, but I didn't indeed. I'm saving the best for last. Okay?
No, that's you. You're last.
No, you're last.
Thank you, Chair. Happy New Year, everyone. Also, I think next week we won't be saying that as much, but Happy New Year. As everyone said, we've all been at the nurses pinning, which is always a great event. Thank you, Leslie. It was always outstanding. Yeah. And this month I did have the opportunity, last weekend actually, to attend the street fair, Gene, and I was overwhelmed by the number of vendors and the number of people. Yeah. Every time I go, it seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. This time I wore comfortable shoes. Afterwards, you mentioned the big box stores. Afterwards, I had to go to the mall to actually return something, and your attendance at the street fair was far beyond that of the mall. So we're doing very, very well. Excuse me. Wednesday, I had the great privilege to attend the Desert Regional Medical Center's private breakfast with the Clinton Foundation at the Desert AIDS Project, and I must say that it was a great honor to be there. The Clinton Foundation, the health initiative, works with Desert Hospital. They're one of the major sponsors, and the focus was on the Desert AIDS Project, Get Tested Coachella Valley. It was I'll talk more about the Desert AIDS function. I'll talk first about being in the room with President Clinton. Regardless of your political biases, being in the room with that man is overwhelming. He was able to take our information about what's going on here with regard to the Coachella Valley health issues, especially HIV, wrap that around how we're working with the Clinton health initiative, move that into Afghanistan, Iraq, around the world, historically back and forth from the early 20th century to the day, and bring it all back to the Coachella Valley in 40 minutes. The man is incredible, and he did that without one piece of paper. He was spouting facts about our HIV rates here in the valley and without a note. And in his comments, he had said that he keeps current on everything that's going on here in the valley with regard to health. And he mentioned an article that had been in the Desert Sun the day before about we have the lowest drunk driving record of percentage-wise everywhere in the country. He keeps, man of his busy schedule, keeps his fingers on what is happening here. Because we were the first Clinton Health Initiative. We were the model. It is now spread to 3 other cities across the country, one of which is Little Rock, where his presidential library is, Jacksonville, Florida, and I think the other one was Houston. But it was just an overwhelming experience. And I'm thankful I had the opportunity. I mean, there's some things in life you get to be thankful for, and that was one. The other thing I want to mention is the Get Tested Coachella Valley, which was the focus of that. I know, talking to Carlos, we are participating in that project. If you didn't see the news clip, there was a huge van that they've purchased to do on-site testing. It's quite the mobile testing unit. And I know we have some cooperation, but it might be even great to something to consider having that van here one day because it's a visual symbol for everybody to see, just like we did for the blood bank. You know, it's something you can see and you can appreciate. Just a few statistics. Approximately 70% of the Coachella Valley residents have never been tested for HIV. They expect that there's 1,000 people here at least who are HIV positive who do not know it. and that the HIV/AIDS prevalence rate in Coachella Valley is over 2 times higher than the national rate, putting everyone at greater risk. One of the things the president said was that we are a microcosm of the most representative area. We have the very rich, we have the very poor, we have all kind of ethnic diversity. Riverside County is the most ethnically diverse county in the country. And we are a microcosm of that, which is one of the reasons why they chose for the Clinton Health Initiative. So should be very, very proud of what we are doing in cooperation with that as a college. As Trustee Sanchez mentioned, we're quite involved, and I think that's very good. I know I'm running out of time. Trustee Broughton, I need to do the memorial, so
We'll
I can
put
have
that on top of your.
Okay, so I will do that now then. I did not know Dr. Donald Harrison. He retired, before I was hired, but I've been asked to give you information about him. Many of you did not know Dr. Donald Harrison, but some of you did, as he was a COD story like we all do. He has one. His widow, Estelle, notified the college on December 31st that her beloved husband passed away in December at their Idlewild home. Dr. Harrison taught business courses here at COD from 1971 to 1988. He earned the title Professor Emeritus at the conclusion of his service to the college and its students. He received an AA degree from Pasadena City College in 1950 and transferred to the University of California, receiving his BS and MS degrees in 1957. He completed an ED in 1972. Dr. Harrison was a veteran of the United States Navy Reserve, serving from 1947 to 1953. He spent 3 years on active duty. He spent 32 years teaching, and his widow describes those years spent in his beloved classroom. Margie Torres, who is on our staff, took classes from him and can attest to the quality of his teaching, leadership, and inspiration. He was also an avid sailor and scuba diver, spending much of his time diving with his family in Cozumel, Mexico. He was a member of Delta Alpha Epsilon National Honorary Business Education Fraternity. He is survived by his wife, Estelle, and sons Blake and Gregory, their wives, and his beloved granddaughter, Alicia. At this time, we don't have any information regarding services or donations, but if you would like to contact the family, our public relations office has contact information for his widow. On behalf of the college, I extend my condolences to his family and take great pride in the fact that Dr. Harrison chose College of the Desert for much of his academic career. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I believe Dr. Harrison was an epitome of our community college story. Many of us, much of our community, began their higher education at a community college, and it's very touching that he chose to give back to the community college community. So, thank you so much. My brief report for this month is, again, Happy New Year. It has been a challenging one already. I'm hoping that we're getting these challenges up front and that the rest of the year is going to be smooth sailing. I was fortunate to attend the nurses' pinning before school let out for the last semester. And then, of course, I helped with my special student finish up her semester, and which we began again yesterday. It seems that school never slows down, does it? I would like to speak to our building and our expansion of our courses, our offerings that we have been involved in. I thank Steve Renew for his trenchside chats that he gives us. It does give us a heads up as to where we can and can't count on parking or driving as we look out in the future. But I also have to say that I've noticed a number of repairs from the parts of our campus that aren't quite so new. They have been done very nicely, very professionally. They have not been obtrusive or dangerous, and the resulting thing, I'm thinking particularly of this fountain that we can see as we look out these doors, it blends back in. It looks authentic. A lot of thought goes into that. A lot of thought goes into how we stage our buildings here and who gets moved from where to where to where. So I have to thank the staff that puts all that thought in and then helps keep us in touch with what's happening. Of course, I'm celebrating, as is Bonnie and the rest of us, that the Indio building is about to open. I understand that it's like most of the things that we do, it's going to be a down-to-the-wire time situation. But again, I have to commend our building program for keeping that on track. We've had several opportunities where it could have just totally gone off and we wouldn't have been there this semester, but they have kept it together. They've prodded, they've cajoled, and we're there. We should open we will open. We will have classes.
Open.
Yes,
We'll
on the
open.
day that I think of as the Monday after the fair.
Let's-
Yes. I thank Annabelle and Don, I believe, for their input on the thing I'm celebrating. We have a mailbox at the Mecca Thermal Campus. This may not sound big to you, but it's taken years. I will no longer in my personal mailbox get rejected mail that did not get to the students, which never really bothered me except that it meant that our counselors didn't know when their students had moved or the address was stale. So now that will be more apparent, and it also makes me feel like that campus is more part of that community. So I thank you for that. And Joel, you did say you'd make it happen, and I appreciate that.
You kept bringing me the mail.
Yes, I did, didn't I? Yes. Indio, I have to tell you, is excited about the Indio building opening. It really makes a difference in downtown Indio. If you've driven in Indio
Yes.
at night and you look at the changes the city's made, it feels like a different place. You have to take your hats off to the council in that community for all the positive changes. It will help our campus. It will help
Yeah.
that community. So we're going to be good partners. I understand there will be a celebration, a ribbon cutting after our campus, after our building actually opens. So we'll be in touch about that. Flex, I'm looking forward to Flex. It's going to be a really exciting, full venue. There's always something to learn. And as to the street fair, that was the reason that shopping that the trustee did at the street fair was why the sales shot up that day. But I have been in touch, or rather a vendor's been in touch with me about other things, but they continue to say when you bump into these people, oh, I just love the new solar panels and the lighting. And as a trustee, I have to say that I really love that solar panels and the lighting are going to help with our power. So we are, as a campus, having a large percentage of our power created in a earth-friendly way, and it has the marvelous side effect of having our vendors happy and comfortable and our customers that come to that fair. So thank you all for a good month for our vacation, and we're ready to start a new year. Thank you so much. So as we segue from that, I look to my right and look at our president, and would you give us your updates and exciting things that are happening, please, sir?
I'd love to. First, Happy New Year. We only get to do this once every 12 months.
That's right, so we have to.
Let's embrace that and remember all of our what we promised ourselves that we were going to do this year. So, but again, Happy New Year. I'm hopeful and anticipating a very exciting, positive year. I'm going to repeat a few things, and I'm going to miss a few things, and then you can tell me that I missed you later, and then I'll apologize, okay? But I wanted to highlight, again, Dr. Socio, and our next week we'll be doing Flex, and I thank you and everybody that's been working on that. I encourage all of you, if you're available Wednesday evening, to join us over at Desert Willows. I'm hoping that we'll have as many trustees that can join us as well. It will be a very casual evening, just spend some time together. The Zarella, again, Dean Becker, I'd like to thank you for your work on these student orientations. The work of the counselors and others, we really had a lot of students on campus, and it was, fortunately, I only had to, went by to visit, and I didn't have to stay there because it looked very hectic. But again, as we gear up for the semester, it does add a little extra strain, and so too in the dean's office and with support staff as we're looking at classes and making sure that they're covered and those types of things. It's just different dynamic. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you for allowing me to come to the orientations. One thing it does to me is I look at the new students and I think, oh my gosh, I am so happy I don't have to go back.
That's true.
Because it's not easy.
No.
It's not easy. It's so difficult. And I mean, you sit there and you remember, how difficult it really is and how anxious you were. And then you realize how blessed you figured out a way to get through, and you had support along the way. And that's, what all of you are about. So, but that was a good reminder. A colleague of ours, Dr. Fred Yant, is leaving CSU San Bernardino. He's been a good colleague and friend of the college. So we'll be wishing him our best. I've had a couple opportunities to visit with him. He will be still at CSU, but they got a really good program where you can go back to teaching and do as well as you were doing when you were in that role. He's probably going to get on to me for mentioning that publicly. And then we have, I had an opportunity to meet with Dr. Thomas Morales, the CSU San Bernardino president, just to talk about our future moving forward and his ideas about the Palm Desert campus. This week, I had an opportunity to, I guess yesterday, I had an opportunity to meet with the Executive Vice Chancellor for the system and several of the staff members with a small team from COD to discuss ongoing dialogue related to FTES, and we will continue to have those discussions. The Indio campus is scheduled to open in February. I want to applaud the deans and everybody, facilities, trying to get this where it all comes together. Hopefully it's coming together in a good way, not a perfect storm. But the exciting thing is we've got schedules in place that really actually leads a student to a certificate or a degree. And, I know that's going to be very significant for the students in the East Valley. Yeah. And I want to acknowledge that there were 2 math boot camps. I wasn't in the service over the winter break. And in the boot camps, over 80% of the students afterwards were testing 1 or more math levels higher.
Wow.
And so we anticipate.
That's great. That's wonderful.
The plan is to double the number in the summer.
Yeah.
So, again, kudos to everybody that's been involved in that. I've got a couple more items. At Mecca Thermal, my board president, you always, have to suck up to the board president. So, you currently have tripled megabytes. No more copper, now cable, and now we can live stream if we would like to go down there
Yahoo.
and have a board meeting. So we're having some progress there, so thank you for everybody involved in that. I can't take credit for it, but I certainly appreciate the attention. There was an item that was mentioned. I typically won't respond, but on this one item, there was an item mentioned about CISC. And the potential of having discriminatory treatment of our employees where they would be asked to provide different types of information for their benefits. I will report that CISC has agreed to accept similar documentation regardless of which classification. So in one situation, if a signed affidavit is sufficient, it will also be sufficient in another situation. And lastly, I would like to, if I could, read some about Dr. Cheryl Imes. Dr. Cheryl Imes joined COD in 2000, most recently serving students as our clinical psychologist. We received word in late December that she passed away on Friday, December 20th, following a difficult struggle with cancer, a liver transplant, and ultimately liver failure. Many of you worked with her and knew her well. More of us knew her in her COD capacity, but didn't really know who she was. So let me tell you a little bit more about this compassionate person who walked among us. She was born in Peoria, Illinois. She graduated from Richwoods Community High School in 1972 and from the University of New Mexico in 1978. She received a master's degree in experimental psychology from Bradley University in Peoria in 1982 and a PhD in psychology from Indiana University, Purdue University, and Indianapolis in 1990. That summarizes her academic success. On a more humanitarian level, Dr. Imes had a lifelong passion for helping others, counseling victims of domestic violence, teens and others about drug and alcohol addiction, students suffering from depression, and patients with head injuries. Dr. Imes served on the advisory board for Coachella Valley Sexual Assault Services and the Desert Task Force of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. She was a loving owner of dogs over the course of her life and, at times, took them to comfort those who were ill or elderly and suffering. She is survived by her three, Belle, Lexi, and Joji. She was a keen writer and began writing poetry and essays as a teenager and continued to do so throughout her life. Her sister Liz Gordon is a member of our adjunct faculty, and her mother lives here in Palm Desert. Her life will be celebrated here in Palm Desert on February 15th at 1 p.m. at the Center for Spiritual Living on Portola Avenue. I wish to acknowledge her remarkable life. If you wish to acknowledge her remarkable life of service, donations are welcome in her name at Fair Foundation, which supports people in California with liver problems and or Animal Samaritans. Donation forms for these organizations will be available at her service next month. The family invites all of us to attend, and on behalf of College of the Desert, I express our condolences to her family and friends struggling with the loss and wishing you peace in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes your report. We're moving now to the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be considered for approval by a single vote without discussion. Any board member may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda to be discussed and considered separately in the action agenda. I would like to point out that we have added an item that we have the documentation for. That's why Stan gave us to us early, so that we could read to that human resources.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I would like 2 points. I would like to pull item number C10,
you would, okay.
and I would like to thank Unicar Hondas for their donation to our auto program.
Thank you so much. It's very important to me that we do say thank you to those people that give us gifts and gifts of their time, because community college is exactly that. It needs that community help in order to do the best job that we can do.
Sure.
Is there any other?
Yes, I do want to pull item, but I'm not sure yet because I want to ask a question real quick. It's on administrative service on area item 9. I'm not sure if it's just, I looked in there and there was no signatures for one of the item. Do we just, because it's a consent item, does it just basically, does it not need signatures?
The administrative services, which is C9, is what
Area item 9. So administrative service, area is item 9. So if you look through, if you click on the link, it basically there's no signatures. Lisa Howe or Edwin Ellis is not there.
What we would do is if the board does consider this item and approve it, then will sign it, but not until it's approved.
That's okay.
Thank
all I
you,
needed
that's
to know.
great
Thank you.
explanation.
There are signatures on the last page.
Yes.
On the last page.
No, I see that, but I would think that all signatures would need to be signed. But okay.
Okay, so are we good with that?
Yeah, because we have the authorizing agent signature, excuse me, we have the authorizing agent signature on the last page, which is Linda Valkenburg.
Okay.
And then Wade has signed it. So we are covered on there because they're signing for everything above.
Okay. So, Andrew, are you good with that? You need to pull it, or you're
Well,
happy?
if we're saying that it's okay, I mean, I look at it as two different items because if you have signatures on one area and you have signatures on the bottom, it's two different areas.
Let me clarify, if I may. The backup agreement is for the period July through September 2013. This is a recommendation to extend it through February 28, 2014. So once an action is made on the extension, if it's approved, then this amendment will be attached to the signed agreement, the one that's the backup, to cover for those additional few months. So I think both of you are correct.
Okay.
And
you.
it's
a strange one.
Yes.
I have a question actually on that. In that it says payments will be made to the district and to the contractor at $100 per hour and not to exceed $15,500. And in our previous contract, it did state $20,800. Did he use that? I just need to.
I would have to, and I'm not sure that we're prepared, but Stan, do you know if that balance was used?
It's very critical because we're giving him now another extra amount
We
of
could just pull the item to action so we can discuss on it, so we won't be going out of.
Okay.
I do have an answer. We did not use the full amount. Lisa has been working with them on this, and so admittedly she has more information. This is simply because the timing expired.
Yes, that's right.
So, what is the pleasure of actually, Andrew, you're the one that brought this up. Do you wish to have it pulled, discuss it more, or you want to leave it where it is?
Is everyone else okay with it being left?
Okay, I think we're
Okay, it's fine.
Good questions, though.
Yeah, the good
I mean,
questions, and it was a good
thank you.
clarification. Okay, so, we have the consent agenda before us to be considered, and I do not believe I've had a motion.
So move.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Have a motion and a second. Stefan and O'Neill. We've had discussion, but playing the game by the rules, I'm looking down to see if there's any additional comments.
I just want to clarify, so we are pulling item 10?
We're pulling item 10. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, all right. Thank you, though, Roy, for clarifying that. With item 10 pulled, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Forgotten. You're supposed to first give me the.
Oh,
Student.
you're so right. Thank you so much. But I'm assuming that your advisory vote was aye.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I heard that as a unanimous vote of yes. Okay, see, eventually you'll get me in line, but. Okay. Action items. We have one item that has been pulled. Administrative Services, number 10, New Markets Tax Credits Consulting Services. I believe that we addressed that item that's been pulled first.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Thank you.
I'll second.
And O'Neill seconds. And I believe we were looking for some information about that.
Certainly. New market tax credits have been around for a few years. And what they're designed for is if there's a community that is distressed or low income or fits some criteria and it's designated as such an area, then this new tax credit is an incentive for investors or any group that wanted to build something in that area to get a tax credit. We originally started working with this firm that's in here with our West Valley project because it was within one of those zones. And then that changed, that identification changed there, so it wasn't eligible any longer. But what we found was that the Indio project, it was within a zone. And so there's LLCs out there that pull money to invest in projects so that they can get that tax credit. And so what this is allowing them to use our property to get the tax credit, and in that transaction we benefit by about $1.5 million. And it's not exactly the same as an example I often use, but it's an example that works, that is easier for me to explain, even though it's not exactly as if you're familiar with mitigation. If we had a property, let's say over at Mechathermal, and we had an endangered species or something on it, and somebody in India was wanting to build, they could give us money to take a certain amount of acreage out and preserve it for endangered species credits, and then they would be able to go ahead and build at the location they were wanting to build at. So it's a similar type of transaction, except this one is dealing just with a federal tax credit for in providing us resources for the project.
So the money comes from the company that we would
Yes.
sell the credit to.
Yes.
It's not that we're getting a tax credit, and I think that's where the confusion lies in here, because normally tax credits go to the issuer.
This goes to the company, the third party, and we just are the beneficiary of the fact that we built a facility in this location. It gives us an opportunity to also get this extra benefit.
And how are we allowed to use that money?
It's unrestricted.
Unrestricted. Good. Is there any other questions? So we have a motion on the table and a second. We've had discussion. Are there any other questions?
Is there any term, the use of, I mean, a term limit on use of the money?
I believe it's 2 years.
Okay.
It's pretty short. Yeah. We'll make sure we use it within the
Sure that we're
limitation.
capable of that, yes. Good question, Aurora. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Oh.
Oh, student trustee, thank you. See, she's keeping me in line, yes. Student trustee?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Our student trustee has given us an aye advisory vote. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Hearing, all opposed? Hearing none, I call that a unanimous vote. So now we're moving into the rest of the action agenda, administrative services. The first item is Resolution 01-1714-1, authorized signatures. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution as
So
presented?
moved.
Second.
I have a motion and presented. Trustee Sanchez Fullerton, was that you?
Yes, it was.
Okay. I'm just writing, so I don't always get together. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? This is something we've seen before.
Every month.
Every month? Okay. There being no discussion, it's a roll call vote.
Trustee Campbell.
See, he remembers.
Trustee Campbell.
Aye.
Trustee O'Neill.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Broughton.
Aye. Thank you. The second item is somewhat similar, certification of signatures. Do I have a motion to approve the certification of signatures as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. And the seconds were, you have to choose one there? Okay. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, student trustee, how do you vote?
Aye.
And all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing no objections, I call that a unanimous vote. The next item is the non-resident foreign tuition fee. We're going to bring this back this afternoon when our presenter will be here. And the next item is resolution, which I'm marking, so I'll be sure to do that. The next item is resolution 01-17-14-2, establishing a revolutionary, I like that, a revolving cash fund, so I can't read it this morning. What can I say?
Chair,
My version better. Yes.
Chair Brown, I have a concern on that when I'm looking at this. I think
We
it's
don't
a.
have a
Oh, you
motion.
don't have a motion.
So we don't have a motion
So do
yet.
I have a motion?
So move.
Okay, I have a motion and a second?
Second.
And a second. Okay, your turn for your
Question. If you look at the on the motion and whereas the resolution here, I'm seeing a vague language here that I'm very concerned about is approval, the vice president, the administrator, or the designee is hereby. Who is the designee? What do you mean by that?
It would likely be the new director of fiscal services, and I think that would, and it would also only be, it could only be somebody that's on your approved signatory list also.
Okay, so shouldn't that be stated? Because hereby established, we should be a little, since it's our authorized, should not be restated as the authorized signatures or our physical services director? Since you are administrative service, you have the different other people.
I think it would be fine if we wanted, to consider looking at authorized signatures. That way, with schedules and things, if somebody needs to sign it, there's more numbers here. So.
Right.
Thank
I
you.
believe the designee was exactly for that. If you were to be called away for the day and it were necessary to have someone sign, we
Yes.
need somebody in charge. We've been there and not had anyone in charge,
Yes.
and it's kind of a frightening situation.
Chair, I'm a little bit trying to understand, what are we putting $5,000 away for emergency, like for the students or for the faculty? What does that mean? Like, I don't get emergency.
I'll give an example. Sometimes a request will come in from a department that needs to go purchase something, and they have accounts that are set up at the foundation, and there's a cumbersome process to go through the foundation office because they go there and then come to the district, and it has additional processing to get the resources. And usually it's something that we needed an hour ago, type situation, and it's typically, a few $100s to do this or a few $100s to do that. The intent of this is to have it where in the district funds we've taken $5,000 from the foundation, and we're able to just process those resources there more timely and not have an extra step in the process. An example, let's say there's nobody at the foundation office, but typically we have our full staff in our district fiscal office. Then there's not that challenge of trying to get it processed.
I'm going to follow up Andrew's question because we have staff credit cards.
Yeah.
And when I read this, I had the same concern that the student trustee has had. It seems to me a credit card would work faster and give you a better track record. I wasn't sure what their criteria for this account. This is sort of floaty for me.
Yeah, this is, this is foundation funds. The credit cards that we have for staff are our educational and general operating funds, which are, different than the foundations. These are designated funds.
So these are only foundation paid for activities?
Yes.
Okay, that's the key that we've been missing.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And going on more of questions, I don't mention, is this going to be a contract that's going to be the term limits on this? Is it a yearly item that we need to be working on? I don't see a time limit. Is there a reason why, or?
If we look at the background, it states in the fiscal 2013-14 budget.
budget.
So I anticipate what we need to do is annually, because we'll have to also work with the foundation and their budget to make sure that they designate that $5,000 in their budget as well, so that they account for it.
And I have a second question. You're saying this account will allow the funds to the students directly? I'm very I think kind of want to piggyback, or just to departments.
It's not just to departments. It could be to students as well.
Very good.
And I'm off the top of my head trying to think of some examples, but I can't.
So students can then apply?
Oh, good. We have one of our deans here with us. So, Leslie, do you mind? Go ahead and come up.
We all point.
We don't
Not
buy.
going to get out of it that easily, Leslie.
Thank you for allowing me to address this issue. Some very generous donors in the community have donated money to a nursing emergency fund. And it's part of our student success for nursing. As an example, our nursing students cannot miss clinical. So if they tell us their car is in the shop, there are donors who are willing to pay for their car to get out of the shop. So when these emergencies arise and we put those requests into the foundation, those checks require 2 signatures, and it can take a couple of days to get the check to the student. So this is an example of how to expedite that kind of support for our students, and there's a very strict process that we go through to allow these kinds of emergency funds, but the hang-up has always been the expediency of getting the check to the student. So this is an example of what this fund will do.
I should have looked out there sooner.
Thank you for letting me speak to it. Does
Thank
anyone
you.
have any questions about that? We have 2 very generous donors in our community that donate a certain amount of money every year for emergency funds for students because they were nursing students and they are aware of the emergencies that pop up. And the rigor of the nursing program doesn't really allow them to have cars in shop.
I appreciate your wonderful example because it ties it into the importance of this fund.
Right.
So it makes us understand thank you very much.
Thank you for letting me speak to it.
Thank you, Leslie.
So I believe our questions have been answered.
I have one more question regarding, do you have to be only a nursing student? I think the concern, are we going to allow other students, let's say there's a student on campus that is not a nursing student, are we going to have a process in place for, is it just restricted to nursing? Or are we going to have a process that's going to be given to other students? Let's say I'm a student and
The example that I gave you, excuse me, is those funds are specific to nursing students, enrolled nursing students, but I believe that there are other emergency funds in place that this fund will also address. I was just giving you the example of the emergency nursing funds.
Okay. Are we going to have something then in place since we're pushing this additional money for students? Let's say they're in student government and something happens. I mean, I think...
I think any place where where I should say the foundation has raised funds and it matches the designation, knowing the intent of what the money was there for. So in that example, if there was one for, and I don't know whether there is or not, but if there was one for student government, or if there was one for Mesa, or our automotive program, et cetera, we would be able to do that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You answered my questions.
Thank you.
And are we comfortable with the Vice President Administrative Services or designee of the district for emergencies? How would you like that worded so that it's for sure? I think it pretty much has to be a certified signature anyway in order to sign a check. So I'm not sure that has to be said as long as we understand that it is that way.
Thank you.
Yes. So, Madam Chair, I
Yes.
just wanted to know, will the foundation also be reviewing this?
I imagine that it'll be required as part of their budget development process, because we'll have to have a discussion about how we're doing this process.
And the
But
ongoing part of it.
we'll be transparent with it.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
Oh.
This is a resolution?
And it would also be subject to their audit as well as our audit.
That's what I
Yeah.
was
double audit.
Yeah.
wondering. Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
No, thank you. Okay, I believe we're ready for the roll call vote.
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
Trustee Campbell.
Aye.
Trustee O'Neill.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Sanchez.
Aye.
Trustee Stefan.
Aye.
Trustee Broughton.
Aye. It is 12 o'clock. I'm getting the sign from everyone that it is time for us to adjourn into closed session and for you folks to adjourn for lunch. Carlos?
Yeah.
I didn't call, oh, thank you so much. I do have to call that vote. That's the law. So that resolution passed unanimously with everyone voting aye. Thank you so much. So now I will adjourn, that's not the right word, recess the meeting so that we can go to closed session, and we will return, Leanne, the person that knows, at 1:30? Okay, we will be returning at 1:30. Thank you so much. Session, a motion was made by Trustee O'Neill and seconded by Trustee Stefan to authorize President Kinnaman to enter into an employment agreement to appoint John R. Ramont as the Director of Fiscal Services. The motion carried with 5 members voting in favor, no members voting nay. The motion carried unanimously, 5-0. Going back and picking up a couple of items that we passed over, are we going to begin with the introduction of staff?
That's good. Thank you, Trustee Broughton. I would like to mention 2 employees who are new full-time permanent employees who could not make it here today, and I just wanted to compliment them. One is Gabriela Ortega. She's in the bursar's office. The other is Andrea Solis, also in the bursar's office, and I say compliment them because they are inundated with student needs
Yes,
today. We invited them to be here to meet you, and they chose to stay at work and serve the students today. And there are 2 other new full-time employees since we were here last, and I'm going to have Dr. Kinnaman. He's pointing at me, and I'm
That's
pointing
all
at
right.
him. Shall I continue? You go right ahead, please.
I can do it. First, I think most people have met her, but we'll introduce her again. Our Executive Vice President, Anna Davies, is with us for all these ands, and so we're glad to have you on board. Okay. And our new Chief of Staff, Ann Taylor. Welcome, Ann. Okay, thank you.
At the risk of asking a personal question, is your mother's name Ann?
No.
Your sister's name Ann?
No.
Do you have a...
No.
Just wanted to get... I didn't have this.
But when I'm not.
Never mind. Don't go there. Okay. And Christina Delgado is here for our study session. We just have a couple more items on our action agenda. Let's actually, one more item. No, it's not a couple. Let's finish that, and before we move into it, the last item before the study session is the notice of intent to award contracts for the athletics facilities project. Do I have a motion to approve the notice of intent?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the motion of intent as presented. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, I look to my student trustee and ask for his advisory vote.
Aye.
Thank you, student trustee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing no objections, I read that as a 5-0 vote supporting the notice. Okay, unless I've missed anything else, when we skipped over and went back and forth, we're good? Yep. Okay, so we're moving into our study session, which is tied to, I lost it, okay, which is tied to Administration Services, number 3, non-resident and foreign student tuition fee. So, if we could have that presentation, Christina. Thank you.
Move. So move.
Yes? Oh, before we go into this, okay.
I so move.
I have a motion and
Second.
a second that we approve the non-resident and foreign tuition fee, and Christina is here to present us some information about this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the international program. It's a joy to work for that program. The students are fantastic. Our staff is great, and I think we probably have the best job on campus. But oftentimes, people aren't really sure what exactly it is that we do. So this is a great opportunity to show you. There it goes. Hopefully you can all see that. Basically, our office, which is located directly above us right now, we facilitate the enrollment for all the F1 visa students or international students here at COD. And we're really a one-stop shop in that we work with 2 programs, those students enrolled at College of the Desert and those students enrolled in our Intensive English Academy. And we do pretty much everything. We start from the admissions. So we establish the admission policies for the international students. We review their application files and then issue the acceptance and the necessary immigration documents for them to get their visas. The application process is different for international students than for our domestic students in that they have to meet certain English requirements, they have to meet certain financial requirements as established by the U.S. government. And it's not an online application. We actually have to review various documents for them before we can admit them. Right now, our fees typically are approximately $17,000 per year. That includes tuition and living expenses. Our international students have to show that amount in a bank statement or some other form of liquid cash before they are admitted and before they can get the student visa. Once they get here, our office provides all the support services for those students. So probably one of the most important things that we do, which we have been doing this week and continue to do today, is orientation. We often have a 3 to 4 day orientation for the students where we do their registration, their testing, and then help them get to know the college, get to know the area, and get them ready to start school. Of course, our kids don't live here, so we also have housing services, either through a host family program or advising them of off-campus apartments. And then while they're students here, we have counseling services for them in terms of both academic as well as personal or acculturation counseling, because certainly our kids do go through additional stress because they're away from home and away from pretty much everything that is familiar to them. To help with that, we do various social activities, either here locally or even outside of the area, to let them get to know each other and get to know California. Most of the time, they've never been to the United States before, and most of the time, they don't know anybody here. And certainly we do immigration advising because there are many, many rules that guide their visa status from the Department of Homeland Security. And so that's one of our main responsibilities, is to make sure the college is compliant, as well as make sure the students are compliant with those rules. Right now, we have approximately 207 international students in both of our 2 programs, affectionately known as IEP, which is the college students, and the IEA, which is our Intensive English Academy. And from those programs, we contribute approximately $350,000 annually to the general fund. We also, as most of you are familiar with, since this is typically when I come, are in charge of recruitment for that program. And so that includes not only the overseas recruitment portion, but also we do a lot in terms of print, web, video, and local marketing to attract students to the campus. We also help with study abroad. We, College of the Desert, is a member of the Southern California Foothills Consortium, and we assist with the recruitment and enrollment of study abroad students. That is housed through Citrus, so we really market that program and then just help with the processing of those students. The next program is in London that we will be marketing this semester. Our structure has grown a lot since 1997 when the program really took off. We have 4 full-time staff, a director, a full-time counselor, 2 support staff, and our fantastic student workers. And then in our Intensive English Academy, we have 6 part-time instructors, and our lead teacher, Cindy Jansen, who is truly a godsend in helping with curriculum and management of that program. So in terms of the Intensive English Academy, it's a not-for-credit program, so it's outside of the regular college curriculum. It's run through our office under the auspices of PACE, and it was established in 1999 for 2 different reasons. Prior to that year, we did not have a TOEFL or English proficiency requirement for admission to the college, and we were finding that students were having great difficulty even going into our lowest level ESL. And so we needed to address that. Additionally, the college wanted to expand the revenue opportunities that international programs can contribute to the college, because often that's the only way we can generate revenue at community colleges. So we developed the Intensive English Academy. It's 25 hours per week of English study. It's housed in the South Annex. Those students are not eligible to attend College of the Desert because they have not yet met our TOEFL requirement. However, most of those students in the IEA do matriculate into the college. So it's really a win-win in that they are paying a substantial tuition fee. Our semester-long program right now is $3,750 per student, and that money stays here at the college. We also do welcome vacation learners, so it gives us an opportunity to attract the non-traditional student, maybe students that are just here for 8 weeks, just want to learn some English, and then will return home. All of the matriculating students from the IEA that enter College of the Desert must go through the college assessment process. There is a slight misunderstanding about that on campus. So certainly none of the IEA students just enter classes without taking the college assessment test. I wanted to definitely make that clear. And the IEA also allows us to do things that are not so easy in the college in terms of customized programs, where we get requests from clients to develop like American culture and language programs. We will be welcoming Bukio University. They are here for a 2-week program. It's a group this year of 38 Japanese students coming February 2nd through the 15th. We provide them classes at the IEA, and then we also offer daily afternoon or evening activities for them. And in those type of programs, we can set the rate. So that's another opportunity to generate additional revenue for the college. So for the IEA, we generate approximately $15,000 to $80,000 each year to the general fund. And the disparity or the wide range in that amount really depends on the enrollment and what type of customized programming we get. That's a little flavor of where our students come from. So we have a nice mix of students. The populations have changed dramatically over the course of the last, I'd say, 5 years. Our majority populations are highlighted. When I was here in, I think, July, I had mentioned Saudi Arabia would probably be our top population in fall 2014. I was partially correct, however, that will be spring 2014. We have 70 new students this semester, 31 of them are Saudi Arabian. So that is quite a huge number, largely again because of the Saudi Arabian Cultural Mission Scholarship Program. This is just a picture of our enrollment trends in terms of enrollment of both college and IEA students over the course of the last few years, many years. And we are indeed incumbent upon actions outside of our control sometimes in terms of world events. They really do affect our enrollment. You can see certainly after 9/11, new enrollment dropped dramatically. And we've only sort of started to recover a little bit. Having said that, within the last 5 years, our majority population of Japanese students across the nation dropped dramatically, and so that affected our enrollment as well. And you can see that most notably in 11 and 12. So we do have great interest in those things that can affect our enrollment, including the non-resident tuition calculation. And basically, the non-resident tuition and the foreign student tuition are made up of three elements, three potential elements. The enrollment fee, which is $46 that all students pay, the non-resident tuition fee, and the capital outlay fee if charged. International students don't generate FTEs, so that money stays here, at least the non-resident tuition fee, and the capital outlay fee stays here at the college. The tuition fee, to establish that from the non-resident tuition fee, the Chancellor's Office has given us a specific formula, so it's very limited in what we are able to charge. Within that formula, there are 7 options that districts can choose from in determining their non-resident fees. It used to be 3, but a few years ago it changed to 7. I am happy to say that our district has been pretty consistent in choosing the more moderate or the lesser of the fee increases for non-resident fees over the last few years. Additionally, the capital outlay fee, districts can choose to charge that or not. There's a specific formula for determining what that fee would be, and districts can charge from nothing all the way up to the full amount of capital outlay. So that's how the total fee of an international student or even a non-resident is determined. Now, looking at, and you have this in your handout, I have to say our office, our program, and our students very much do appreciate that College of the Desert has consistently been aware and looked at the impact that fee increases have on our students and our program growth. And so we've tracked it in that in 2001, if you can see right there, among our contiguous districts, College of the Desert was one of the most expensive, or the most expensive school in terms of non-resident tuition. Our office lobbied and advocated to change that trend because we really need to be strategically placed to attract students to College of the Desert, because in the end, that increases the revenue. And so through that, you can see really in 2006, the trend started changing so that we are definitely much more competitive last year and even this year in terms of our tuition among our contiguous districts. The international program, of course, always looks at our competitors, and for us, our competitors are those schools that have large international programs or recruit actively overseas. And again, in 2001, we were the most expensive among those schools. The trend has changed a lot through our efforts and through the great, great wisdom of the board and our administration, and we are now in a more competitive placement. So the proposed fee for this year, and this is not in order, as you can see, of highest to lowest, but we are still competitively placed. There is a $7 increase in the fee. However, the college itself is still choosing not to charge a capital outlay, and you'll see that many districts are charging a capital outlay. So our total tuition is still quite competitive when you look at all of the other districts. This is proposed, of course. As you well know, the boards are still finalizing their fees, but this is something that Vice President Howell had sent to me, and we wanted to share. So our current tuition rate for international students and non-resident students is $236 per unit, and the proposed fee will then be $243 per unit for next year. And of course, our recommendations would be to continue to involve the international program in discussions related to fee increases, and we thank you very much for doing so in the past. That is not necessarily the norm in districts. We want to continue to be mindful of our strategic positioning among our competitors so we can continue to grow and sustain our program, and to continue to consider moderate or maybe even no fee increases at times, as it benefits the district, of course. And that is the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer.
Are there any questions?
I just want to thank you again for coming. I know I thank you every year, but as you know, when I came on this board, Trustee Suet was on the board, and this was her favorite program, and I promised her I would keep updated on this and make sure that we were always competitive. So I appreciate the fact that you work so diligently with our international students, and you keep the program very, very active.
Thank
So
you.
we can do that for her. Thank you.
When we're talking about, my bad, Chair. When we're talking about competitive, what are we referring to? Like competitive in like towards prices? Because if it's less money, wouldn't they want to come?
Yes, but we are less than other districts, and so that's what I mean. We don't want to become the highest price like we were pre-2006 because our students are highly mobile. Most certainly, they will look around and go to the least expensive school. We often hear that our tuition rates was one of the reasons why students chose us. And we have to remember also that our international students, as well as the athletes that pay these fees, have to take 12 units a semester. They have to be full-time. So it is a big financial impact on them. So we want to always be cognizant of what those fees are.
I was going through this, the data report, and I realized a lot of these schools that we have on here are not like in our region or district. I mean, these are like this is out through Southern California, this is part of Northern California too. How many colleges are we putting on data here? I mean, because there's possibly could be higher schools or lower. Is this from the top? Like, what I mean by that, you showed us a thing at the back, the last report, and it shows that somewhere at 220, is that like the highest one going all the way down to us? What I mean by that is,
I don't have all the schools listed. I can certainly get that for you. But what we have looked at in the past was the contiguous districts because that was one of the options. It used to be one of the only options that you could choose in terms of setting the fees. So we wanted to see where we sat within our contiguous districts. And then our competitors are simply those that recruit internationally, and that's all over the map in terms of California. Not necessarily schools that are near us recruit heavily. So we put those schools that we see when we're out recruiting or we see in the advertisements because we know that those are the ones that are going to be in the eye of the international student like we are. But if you'd like to see the full list,
yeah, because what I'm
I can
seeing,
potentially get that for you. It used to be quite easy to get, now it's a little more difficult.
what I'm seeing is like I was looking at the different numbers in the schools and it sees that like the schools close to us is in our geographic area. Like I wouldn't compare us to like Santa Monica or to Orange Coast because those are pretty big colleges and they have a lot of resources around them too. So I think I would try to compare it to Crafton Hill or to Copper Mountain, something around that our same district type. And it seems like they're lower than us, so I think we should be equal with them or lower.
That is, those districts are in our contiguous districts in that first page. And the second page, as I'd mentioned, are those schools that are more wide-ranging throughout California that recruit heavily. And that last page in your handout is something that is on a listserv that our vice president got of just those schools who had published their rates. So it's certainly not a full list at all. Not everybody publicizes it before it's formally adopted by their board. But it should be,
So
as we know, by February 1st, so we can get that.
Right now, I'm just looking at the top, the statewide average is 193,
Right.
and we're at 190 right now, right?
We're at 190
Plus
this
the
year. Yeah.
190. And we're asking to move to 197.
197, which is the contiguous district. There has not been, so that's one of the choices. You can choose the statewide average or the contiguous district. And it's up to the district to determine which one they will choose. There has not been a set standard in terms of which one College of the Desert chooses, which is good because we don't always want to choose the same one because it might fluctuate too high.
Any other questions or comments?
Could you tell me, I know we kind of try to hit on this periodically. Every time we accept foreign students, it adds money to our general fund. How many students or how many openings does it make? The comparative. You understand what I'm asking?
Classes.
What it's
Usually we can, for
Yeah.
every it's so much money, and with that much money, we can open another
I think
class.
for
How many
a
students do we have to have?
part-time or adjunct faculty, 7, I think it was the last calculation, 7 to 8 international students in a class paid for that class in terms of the tuition they're bringing into the district.
See, I knew
Is
I'd
that
figure
what it
out
was?
what I was asking.
Not to mention the added cultural experiences that our students get, because
Certainly.
many times that interaction, that opportunity to have a friend or fellow classmate from another culture will be their first real brush and perhaps their only brush with that particular culture. So it does widen their horizons, show some other things that are out there, and I think makes us more compatible with each other. It's much easier to understand someone if you actually feel like you can put a face on them. So
No, definitely.
I think it adds, although I'm always very interested in saying that the money from our international students, that international students don't take away seats from our local students, but in fact add seats to them.
They
I
add
also
seats.
say it adds so much quality to their education that we can't overlook that either.
No, agreed. And we hear that from the faculty often, that in the discussions in classroom, having, in political science or communication or whatever, you have somebody from another country talking about the values of that country. It really is an opportunity that many of our own students would not otherwise get unless we had international students in the classroom. And the faculty really enjoy the richness of the discussion that can happen in the classroom.
So we thank you for that. It's not easy. There's a lot of work that goes into it.
So we're voting on this today, correct?
We're
Or-
voting on this today. Yes, she has to, we have to, the administration has to turn in this number by February the 1st,
The number of,
how much we're going to charge.
okay, then we vote on that too, right? Or,
That is what we're voting.
okay, so exactly, so we're voting on the 197 a day.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say if I want to amend that to, I want to move to amend that, we move it to 195, 194. Actually,
I think you can do that.
we can amend.
Can you do that based on the
You
formula?
need a second. You need a second.
Oh yeah, I need a second, but I'm saying,
I don't think it's that easy.
No.
It has to be, I don't think you can lower
Has to fit in
it
that
to an, I don't want to say random number, but you can't lower it unless it's a number that falls within those
calculation.
specific 7 criteria.
Right.
You could put it to the statewide average as opposed to the contiguous district, for example, but you just can't pick a number. If that particular number is in one of those 7 criteria, you could.
so I move it to the statewide average, which was 193.
Okay, let me see now. I'm looking at my parliamentarian.
Yeah, he gets a second. He needs a
I can
second,
do it without a
yes.
second.
That's, anybody can do something, they have a second.
Just can't move it back.
Make an amendment. I have a question. Where did you come up with, I mean, I want to hear the two sides. With that
Did you have a
number,
motion?
the 190, I have a question, just, so
It's
you're
either-
proposing 19, where are we, President Kinnaman?
We're recommending the 197 based on the formula and based on historicals. You can see that we're still significantly below other districts that recruit internationally like we do. And I think that's an important distinction is that Christine and her team, they do a lot of international recruiting and trips, et cetera. And then to provide the services needed for those students when they arrive. One reason we also added the capital outlay fee for the presentation today is just to delineate between other colleges that do charge that. And you're seeing that more and more on the capital outlay fee because many districts have passed bond measures. They're being paid for by the residents within that service area. And so this is a way also so that the international students contribute to the expense of the facilities that they use while that they're here. But we're not making that recommendation at this time, but we thought it was important for us to to bring that to the board's awareness. But the increase, again, the increase was, the recommendation was discussed between our fiscal affairs Vice President Lisa Howe, together with Christine and her staff, who really, I would say, are the keepers of the International Student Program, because we want to also make recommendations that that she feels is appropriate for the students that we serve.
So we're still in discussion based off the 197, right? So
Yes, we are.
okay, so why I would say we shouldn't move it up straight to 197 is because last semester I was here, or was it last year? We just moved it from 186, 180 something to 190. So we increased then, and then we just also increased the health fees, and now we're increasing again on the to $197. It's not a $3, $4 difference. It's $7, and we're not. The students are not even here to even say nothing. That's another thing. We're doing it when they're off the campus. So at least let them hear what's going on before we make a decision to increase on $7. So I'm asking.
And I believe this would be effective
I believe fall 2014.
2014.
And
Okay.
unfortunately, in terms of student input and when this comes out, it's not the college's decision when it comes out. I believe the memo comes out in December, and the chancellor's office gives us until February 1st, to be honest.
And I think we have to keep in mind that costs keep going up for everyone. And there are many costs associated with this program, as Christine was saying. And I think we need to be realistic that those costs, we need to pay for that. It's a self-generating program. No other money comes in for this program. So if we don't keep the fees moving in a forward direction, and we've kept them as minimally as possible for many, many, many years, then we fall too far behind and we can't catch up. The same thing happened with our, was it the health fee we talked about recently?
Yes.
We fell behind and we got caught up in, by letting it fall behind, you penalize yourself, you penalize the students ultimately. So we have to keep this slightly moving so that next, maybe in 2 years, we would have to put $50 fee increase in, and that would harm the whole program.
And I agree with you, Michael, but I think I would like to see more of the data. I see that these are the programs that international program is offering, but I don't see the data what exactly it costs. Do we actually need that $7 increase? Can we just increase it by 5 or 4? I mean, do we actually, are we dyingly need to do it? That's all I'm asking, not to increase it to $7. $7. It's a big difference.
It is a big difference, and I have to concur. When we were all students in college, $7 difference is a lot, and but I also see Michael's point of view about the operating cost. Maybe we could just. Is there a way we could?
I think part of, again,
deadline.
I'm always for the least impact to students. And I
Yes.
think part of the discussion has been in that, in terms of the other schools,
Yes.
perhaps their non-resident tuition fee didn't increase a lot, but they have a capital outlay, and the capital outlay fees of those districts in the last 2 years, truly some of them have increased dramatically, like shockingly. And this district could charge, as you saw, up to $198 per unit, but does not. And so that's something really to consider as well, because you have to look at all of that together in terms of getting a true picture of what that fee is.
I know that we are on time, that we need to do it by February 4th. I think what I'm trying to say is you also said in your presentation that other campuses are different. They have bigger international programs, so that's why their costs can be higher. So without the full data of those colleges, or at least colleges that are in our area, I think exactly in the area. I look at our area, like I said, Copper Mountain, Crafton Hills. Colleges are about our same size in programs, not Orange Coast or Mount Chaffee. That's way big different of size. So I can understand why those rates are that high. We're a small institution towards those campuses.
But if you look at this, if you look at Mont San Jacinto, which is a small college, it's nearby, their tuition is $274 plus their $44 capital outlay fee. So they're way, 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 way above us, over $100 above us. So we are, for our area, Imperial is 269. We're 179. We're 197. We're still way below similar districts. I understand what you're saying, but if you look at the individual colleges which are in our area, and you look at what the fees they're charging, we're very, very competitive.
Well, we have 112 community colleges. We only just pointed out 2 out of all the ones that were selected in this data.
Well, see, this is our contiguous colleges. These are the ones right nearby us geographically. The next page are those that are actively recruiting. This is not an intention to be showcase all the districts. These are the districts that actively recruit at the same places that Christina and her staff go. So these are our competition. So we want to see what the competition is.
No, I
We
get
need
the-
a vote, right? If we call for the question, we need a vote to call. I am recognizing her, yes. Okay, do I have a second, because she called for the question?
Second.
I have a call for the question and a second. Okay, so all in favor, calling for the question, I'm so glad to have a parliamentarian, say aye. And do we need Andrew's advisory vote first, Andrew?
No.
Okay. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Good, for calling for the question, yeah. Okay, so I have, and all
No.
opposed?
No.
Okay.
I would like to see more discussion. I want to
have
hear.
4 votes for trustees approving the calling for the question with Andrew Campbell and Mary Jane opposing. I believe that motion carries. So I've called for the question. That cuts off debate. I'm really swimming not so well here, so you're going to have to help me. So Andrew had a motion, an amendment earlier. We didn't have a second.
Fails.
So we're back to the original motion, which is to approve these fees as presented. So I'm up to asking for that vote. Okay,
Roll call
Andrew, your
vote.
vote on that? Your advisory vote?
No.
No, okay. So I'm calling, so we have an advisory vote of no. All in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, hearing no nays, I call that vote to be the advisory vote a nay, with all the trustees voting aye. Have I muddled through that new law enough yet? Okay. Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank
It was
you.
great
Thank you, Christine.
information. The only other items left on our agenda today are informational. According to Administrative Procedure 2745, we have a board self-evaluation that is due once a year, and it is to be distributed to all board members at the first board meeting in January. You'll find a printed version of that in our packets, which we should since Leanne killed a tree for us, we should pop out and take with us. And we need to submit this, I'm reading our procedure, to Leanne, to either to Joel or to Leanne by the first board meeting in February. That board meeting is the 12th. The results will be compiled, and yada yada. Do I need to continue reading this, or are we good with it?
I have a question. Was this
Yes.
the same one that we used the last time? I thought we made some amendments. Was this the one with the recommendations that we remember?
I haven't looked at it.
This is the same one.
Instrument.
Did it-
Okay.
Yeah.
We never made changes.
Did we make changes? Okay.
Point of privilege.
Okay. This is a discussion item, so we really, I'm looking at an information item, right. Joel, any ideas?
Yes. I was looking at the policy and procedure on this, And in
Just give it to
April, what we need to do is we need to develop an evaluation instrument for next year.
Okay, good.
Yeah, there we go.
And that way,
That's,
That's,
So-
right.
thank you.
and so this gives us time to go ahead and
Okay.
do an evaluation with this instrument. But in April, and it's timely because we're looking at the next year as far as
Yes.
budget and other types of things
Right.
as well. We can do evaluation instrument based
Thank you.
on what the board preferences are at that time.
Okay, and I know we've discussed looking perhaps at a facilitator that comes in, so we should discuss
Thank
that at the
you.
same time.
I really appreciate that we're going to be having a professional facilitator look at this. I've been wanting this, and I really appreciate that we're doing
So-
this. Thank you.
So I'll put my little note on here. Okay, the other item, yes, ma'am? Oh, thank you. I always forget that, and I always wonder when I'm filling it out. What we are evaluating is the board as a whole, how we're working together, what we can do to help working together. I'm not evaluating myself, and I'm not evaluating Michael, although God knows it would be fun. But, but instead, it's how we're working together as a whole. And that's always a question when I look at this, is, oh, am I grading myself or am I grading? It's just as when we are looking at the student trustee position. We need to look at how that student trustee is performing their job, but it is also how a student trustee can perform their job, so that we may have suggestions that will help future student trustees. And I know that Andrew considers that when he puts in his information, things that will help the student trustee and things that will help us help the student trustee. So we need to remember that. Thank you for reminding me to say that, because
Point of
I
privilege.
look at it when it gets to be my turn and go, to fill those out and go, ooh, just
Chair,
a minute.
point of privilege.
Yes.
I had to leave at 2:30.
You may, thank you so much. The other item of information
I have a
is.
question, please.
Yes,
The
sir.
summary of this, is it going to be which method? Last year, I used a different method, which is a composite. Are we doing a composite, or are we going back to the way we were before, where we have trustee A, B, C, D?
I liked the composite because I think that this is my opinion, and I'm just putting it out for your input. I like the composite because if we're looking at ourselves as a whole, I think we should hear from ourselves as a whole. You know, not that she said this and she said that and he said that.
That's why I went to the composite format last year, and I think
Yeah,
it
he
more
did it, right.
effectively reflected our total opinion
Right.
versus trying to look at trustee A, B, and C, and D.
Was that March or April?
I thought you said April.
April, okay, thanks. Okay, so the next is, I'm sorry, I've already jumped ahead once and I shouldn't have. Is that any other recommendations on this? Okay. The next item for information is the 2012-2013 Citizens Bond Oversight Committee Annual Report. And it is also on the website. There being no other information to come before us or actions, there is no more need for a closed session. Then I move we adjourn.
In honor
Did I
We don't
second?
have to adopt this, is that correct?
We don't have to adopt that. I don't need to.
So we're adjourned?
No, we don't have to, we can adjourn. We don't have a closed session.
Mhm.
We can adjourn. Yes?
In honor of.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. I'm not reading my notes. Okay, we are adjourning this today in honor of Cheryl Imes, who was our psychologist for many years, and Dr. David Harrison?
Donald Harrison.
Donald Harrison, who was a longtime professor and truly a part of the community college family. So in memory of their good works and with our sincerest condolences to their family and friends, I respectfully adjourn this meeting.